30 degrees, like. Team, I am back in New Zealand and I thought I'd bring you along for a morning of training. It is our final week of off season, which I'll get into in a second, because I really wanted to just have a quick chat about, I guess, like the mental headspace of an athlete in off season, because it's probably the least exciting, hardest period of the year, and I don't think enough people talk about it. So obviously, during off season, I'm still training, but a lot of it is stuff that no one gets to see unless you're watching these videos, and there's no immediate kind of, I guess, reward. There's no imminent competition where you can go, okay, all the hard work I'm doing is paying off. There's a long period between the end of April and then the start of November where we kind of kick into gear. And I'll be honest, it's blimmin' hard. And this year, more so than other years, I've found it the hardest because I've had no paddling projects to kind of keep me distracted. I've gone fully all in on IV racing, and yeah, it's been tough. I'll be the first to say, like, I've found it really, really challenging, and I've had to rely on different mental strategies to get me through. Now, one of my heroes is a guy named Ross Edgley, and he has so much fortitude and resilience and just sheer grit, determination, stubbornness, madness, whatever you call it. So if you haven't heard of him, look him up. He's one of my inspirations and heroes. And he has this term called getting winded. And it's based on the Greek armies because historically they used to fight wars over the summer period. So winter was all about getting winded and exposing themselves to the hardest thing so that come summer, they were prepped and ready to go, and actually fighting wars in summer was easier. So they would do the most brutal trainings in minimal clothing, in knee-deep snow, just crazy conditions, and just exposing themselves to the hardest things possible. And yeah, just to build their resilience both mentally and physically and build their capacity. So my version of getting winded is doing lots of the hard stuff, training-wise, lots of volume, lots of remedial structural balance things that are by far the most boring / humbling things. They really prey on like building up your weaknesses, and that's never something that's comfortable. A lot of the time off season for athletes is the thing that isn't seen. It's all the grinding that's very thankless. No one really knows you're doing it again, I've kind of, unless you're watching these videos, you don't know how much training I'm doing in my off season and what that kind of looks like. And it's really hard, especially when, you know, you're doing it over and over and over again. And there will be days where, and I'll be honest, it hasn't been easy to stay consistent or, you know, keep that motivation high and the dedication up. But I've been showing up regardless, and there's a few mental strategies that myself and other athletes use to keep doing the hard work, doing the mahi when, no one's really watching, and when you don't have a competition on the immediate horizon to kind of test yourself and be like, okay, cool, I'm doing the hard thing and now it's working, and I'm doing some more hard things and now it's working. It's a trust the process kind of thing. And so for me, one of the, I guess, techniques I've always used in my paddling and in my swimming and in my IV racing is the whole staircase methodology. So you can look at something far off, like in season competitions, and it is so far away, and there's so much that you have to do between now and then to get ready for that and to be better than last year and to achieve everything you want to achieve, especially if you've got massive goals like my driver and I do. And that can, like, looking at that whole staircase can be so daunting. And so I like to just break it down and look at the step in front of me and do that step as well as I possibly can. And then just go, okay, so what's the next step? I've achieved that one. What's the next step? Do that as well as I can and just keep building and building to that point rather than looking at the whole thing and just be like, oh goodness, I can't do it. So yeah, the staircase is definitely something that I use, not just in sport, in my everyday life too. But then we've also got this thing called the rule of thirds. And as a very optimistic person, it's it's all wonderful to be like, yes, every train is going to feel amazing. However, the reality isn't always that. And we've got this thing called the rule of thirds. It's kind of known in like coaching and athlete circles. And basically, a third of your training is going to be like pinnacle, feel incredible. You're going to be like, yes, you're going to be thriving. You're going to be like smashing every like PB and goals and everything like that. And then you have underneath that, you've got a third that's just going to feel a bit meh. And even that can be pretty demotivating. And it's just, you know, like you do the thing and you feel okay, but you don't feel as good as that amazing top third. And then under that, you've got the bottom third. And a third of your training, in all reality, is going to be so tough. You're going to be grinding, you're going to be working hard, and you might not feel very good doing it. And so accepting like, hey, today might just be one of those bottom thirds, and I'm going to work hard regardless, and then look forward to that top third day, or even just moving up to the math phase. Because reality is not all of our training is going to be top tier in terms of how we feel doing it or how we feel afterwards. So keeping that in mind and just going, oh yeah, today was a bottom third day, but we move on. And I guess in those bottom third days, what helps me is knowing my why. So that's the third kind of mental strategy that I use. And I think it's very good to have like multiple levels of why, and keeping that at the forefront of your brain. And like on a very basic level, one of my whys at the moment is because my teammate and I have pretty lofty goals. We want to see how far we can go in this sport. And in order for me to be better than last year, I've got to do the work and build and grind over winter and get better and improve, so that when it does come to pre-season and in-season, my body's in a better place, my brain's in a better place, my technique, everything is ready to go. So a big part of it when I have those days is like, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? It's because I want to achieve X, Y, Z. It's because I want to rock up on that start line and be ready to go and be in the best condition I can possibly be. And that requires me to work hard now. I also, like I said, I think it's important to have multiple layers. And so there's a lot of core values that I have around movement because of my history with my health. And I am more than happy to dive into that in another video if that's something you guys want, because they're quite an extraordinary story. If you've seen Paddle X, the film, you kind of know already. But a lot of that is a motivator for me. Yeah, I think it's really important to just keep your whys in the forefront of your mind, because if you don't have a good reason for doing something, you're not going to do it when it's hard. You're just not. So yeah, think about your whys as an athlete or anytime you're doing anything hard, and keep them in your brain when you're really, really struggling. Speaking of, I am about to go to the gym. I've got my final training session of the day, which is a lower body day, and it is by far the hardest day possible. My coach has it in for me, I think, with this day. He's programmed some like fairly heavy eccentric front squats. So I've got like 5-second lowers, 1-second pause, and then driving back up. And you're holding your breath with so much tension in your body and this load in front of you. And honestly, I'm breathless by the end of it. I feel so weak doing them. And the numbers I've got on the bar aren't quite where I'd love them, but that's why we're doing it. We're building. And so I'm going to have to rely on those mental strategies today. And yeah, come with me as I grind out in my final week of lockdown. That is season 1 and oh my goodness. That is session 1 and 2 ticked off, done, kaput, weekend over. I would probably say, thankfully, that, well, sprint session was probably in the like middle tier, but that strength session was probably top tier, like in terms of the rule of thirds. So yay, win, PB'd. So we're happy with that. And yeah, bring on preseason. I'm so excited. Anyway, hope that's given you a bit of inspiration, a bit of insight, and into different mental strategies you can use when you're struggling with motivation or dedication, and you're just in off season and you're doing the reps and you're grinding out, and no one's kind of seeing, and you're not kind of seeing the results because you're not competing, and yeah, you're not really aware of how much you're reaping from all the hard work. So yeah, play around with those mental strategies, see what works for you as always. But yeah, hope that helped, and I will see you guys in the next video. Roll on preseason. Bye.